Hello and welcome to the last video of the original pickings that I did in the first video that started all of this off, which is I chose to read 5 select winners, or 5 categories, let's say, of the 2025 Goodreads Choice Award winners. And I decided when I was reading Great Big Beautiful Life that I was not going to read Alchemized. It was the winner for debut. But after all, especially looking into more of the triggers, I just decided I don't think I should read it. And so I'm not going to. Free will, yay, free will for the win. So I'm enacting the rule in which I will either read a book up to 2 years in the past of the same category, or I will instead choose another winner of 2025 to read in its place. I'm not going to tell you right now, just like in Great Big Beautiful Life, what of the 2 I am doing. That's 3 books I may read, but I'm not telling you which one of those 3 books I'm reading in this video. It's going to be a little surprise. It'll be a little surprise. Anyways, so let's talk about the last book that I have yet to talk about, which is Bury Your Bones in Midnight Soil by V E Schwab. So I tried my best not to spoil myself with what any of these books are about. That kind of also does include reading the descriptions. Now, however, I will say I read Fourth Wing, and so when I read Iron Flame for this, because there's also a rule that if I have not read if it's in a series and I have not read the book that won for that year, I will read the next book in the series that I have read. So since I had read Fourth Wing, I would go on to Iron Flame, and it would satisfy the category. Now, if I had not read Fourth Wing, me reading Fourth Wing would satisfy the category as well, the challenge. So obviously I knew what this was about. Of course, though, I don't really know what this book is about, which also did win the audiobook of 2025 winners. So this won 2 categories. For Sunrise and the Reaping, of course, I knew that it was Hamish's game. But for A Great Big Beautiful Life, I really didn't know much about this. Honestly, I thought it was about like a pie contest because of the checkeredness. Now when I was online when I first started reading this, like months ago before I actually read it, because I did read this in 24 hours, so I did restart it. That's when I actually realized what the plot was, because when I was on live, I read half the synopsis. So now that we talked about those books, let's actually talk about this book. Yeah, so the only thing I knew about it was what the cashier told me when I bought it, which is this is a historical piece told through different timelines and had vampires in it. The person neglected to tell me it was sapphic. That is a plus. I am happy. Like, it's amazing. I gave this book 3.75. It was almost a 4-star, but I just thought it was kind of slow. I didn't realize what the plot was to this story because I didn't read the synopsis. On page 306, there was 533 pages total. So I mean, I just didn't necessarily like that. So it did make it go down from 4 stars. I think out of all of the popularity contest that I've read so far, I think that this author did pull the win out because of her name. I think it was name recognition. Not saying it's bad. I just think compared to the other books, I just think that this one relied probably a little bit more on, like, why is it okay? I think that this book just relied a little bit more on who the author was and the author's hits. Because I, like, didn't even know this book was published. Now, obviously, I'm not the, like, decider of winners. I just didn't, like, hear anything about it. Um, Obviously not saying anything against, Great Big Beautiful Life, because like I didn't really hear anything about it, but because I'm not also in contemporary romance. I am in fantasy. Um, but yeah, this book kind of came out of nowhere, in my humble opinion. And so I don't want to say it's because the book had a huge popularity success, like I would say with Sunrise on the Reaping, and also even Onyx Storm. I think Onyx Storm, and to a certain point, Sunrise on the Reaping, won because they are a part of a huge series, a well-known series, and they're a continuation. Not saying they don't deserve to win. I'm not saying any of these books are bad. I enjoyed all of them. It's just kind of, since we're talking about the popularity contest that is Goodreads, I just kind of think these two books won their category because they were part of a huge series. And so people picked them up because of that, and people rated them high on because they knew these books. Um, I think with this, instead of it being like it's part of a huge, well-known series, I think that it's just a popular author. Uh, Now we're going to play for Emily Henry. I think that this was an amazing romance read. I think that this book was not specifically because it was Emily Henry, but simply because, yes, Emily Henry wrote a good book, and I have not read any other of her books, but presumably maybe those books are also really good. I don't know. I'm saying from this book, this was a 5-star read for me. Right? So, this one, while also, yes, a popularity contest, it felt owned compared to the other ones that I feel like this book in particular, I feel like it won when there were other huge fantasy books out there, and I think this was a popularity contest win. I am not I am not saying, and I want to make this very clear, I'm not saying that these books are bad. I enjoyed these books. I am simply pointing out that these are very popular authors that won it. Um, let's get into the actual contents of the book itself, because I have thoughts on this book. Let's talk about Sabine. Well, callousness towards, people. Initially thought it was just because Wolf's family was just cruel. I'm talking about her husband, the Viscount. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to judge a victim for having no, like, remorse, no empathy. Time in which she met Lottie, or Charlotte Lottie, who's already the abuser, the abusive stalker that we will meet. Something during the times of watching this human that she grew to love actually die, and then see her friend basically with an immense amount of depression, and then seeing, oh, he's now replaced. I think there was something in that part of the book in which that is when she starts to become this monster. I also think the jealousy trauma came up with the first couple that she met, and well, like, she's always going to come back to me. Charlotte, Lottie. I wonder how much of what we were told actually happened. If it's just, like Lottie saying, hey, like, this is kind of what happened, and that's what we're reading, is her telling it, and that is what Alice told. Part of me wonders how much of this is manipulation because she wants, Alice to do what she does. And I mean, as Alice points out in the end, it's like she was there. She was doing the things with Sabine. Well, she drew the line was that it was a 13-year-old. That's what she drew the line, and then she continued to be with her. And no way am I saying that she should have left that or just like cut and dry. I'm pointing that out as in a Alice is right saying, well, she is also a monster because it took, like, she was there, she did it, she also did these horrendous monstrous acts. The ending of Sabine and Lottie Charlotte was the way it had to be for Alice to live. Alice, when she is told that, oh, well, if she does this, she might turn back into a human, she's like, every single, like, myth or everything she's heard about it says once it's done, it's done. But she lets herself choose to believe. I think there is no way of knowing if she was going to end up as Penny if she did not act first. The information that Alice got from Lottie, there was no other way, I think, she could have came to that conclusion of, well, she was in love and spent years with Penny. And she did that in an instant. She did it, like, she did it. No one's saying that she wasn't mournful. No one said that she wasn't upset about it. But she still did it. Right? And even Ezra was just like, well, I mean, you still did it, though. Why are you putting these women in danger? You know? And I honestly thought that, and I do think that if Sabine was not a problem, as soon as Ezra would have left, she would have ended up as Penny. I think it's really weird that Lottie has this affection towards Alice when they only had one night together. She was acting as if they'd been together for so long, and I was just like, oh wait, no, it's love bombing. This is manipulation. She wants her to take care of Sabine for her. Because, like, we gotta keep in mind, it was one night, nights ago. Like, it was a probably, I don't know if it was like a week, but it was a bit ago. And she's acting as if there were some levels. Like, as if, like, they've been together for so long, and it's like, oh no, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy, like, to see you. I would never do that to you. And it's just like, but, like, you were actively, I mean, do we need to remind you who you have in shower right now? Like, and that's the thing with compulsion, is it's just like it takes consent away. So, did she consent in the first place? Or did you just compel her to, like, leave the room? Like, what? We don't know. I like the idea that it is after a certain point, immortality has a toll, and they just become monsters. Having Sabine go out the way that she did, having it be quick, and it's like, oh, and it's done, matches and calls back to Sabine 1, who, her death was, I mean, it was quick, and then Sabine, that we are following, with the POV Sabine, from Maria, takes her name. And then later on, they're like, oh, only, like, a few of them are like, oh yeah, I mean, like, I heard about a Sabine Bookie Charlotte who ended up drinking the wine, not wine, the drink. And as soon as she sat down and she came in, I was just like, I can't see a way for Alice to get out of this and not end up like Penny. And then she drank, and I realized, oh, the wine is still there, and I went, I did very much enjoy this book. It would be higher if it was a bit faster. That is my personal perspective of it. I think this is a very good book. I think that this is a very well written book. I think that this is a very amazing book. I just think there was enough negatives on it for me to make it not definitely 5-star or 4. Like I said, mostly the pace of it. And I just think that for me to figure it out on page 306 out of 533, I just that's gonna take a major hit to it. That if I have to pick my favorite out of these that I have read for 2025, it would actually surprising me, and this would surprise most of the people that I have talked to about books, actually contemporary romance. I think this is like my favorite. I mean, I did enjoy Ion Flame, but Zayden, he's just a little bit, you know. You want an update on my reading stuff? I am currently reading 2 books at the moment. I am rereading Forest Flame before I go to Onyx Storm, simply because I wanted to reread the bonding scenes between them. For the Aquamath, I'm on still page 273, chapter 28, and that is only for at the time of recording. That can change. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a good day or night whenever you're watching this, and goodbye!